For decades, the rivalry between Iran and Israel has shaped the balance of power in the Middle East. But recently, that rivalry has entered a far more dangerous phase. Missiles have crossed borders, drone swarms have appeared in the skies, and military forces across the region have been placed on high alert. In the modern Middle East, wars no longer begin slowly. They begin with radar alerts, a warning that something has been launched. Ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, or drone swarms capable of traveling hundreds of kilometers before striking their targets. And when those alerts appear, military commanders often have only minutes to respond. Air defense systems activate. Interceptor missiles launch. Fighter jets scramble into the sky, all within seconds. This is the reality of modern warfare between Iran and Israel. Two countries locked in a strategic rivalry that has lasted for decades. Iran sees Israel as a major threat to its regional influence. Israel views Iran's missile programs and regional alliances as a direct security risk. And as both countries expand their military capabilities, the risk of confrontation continues to grow. Over the years, the conflict has taken many forms: cyber operations, covert missions, targeted airstrikes, proxy conflicts across multiple countries. But the most dangerous possibility has always remained the same: direct escalation. A situation where both countries engage each other openly using missiles, aircraft, and advanced military technology. And in recent years, the signs of that escalation have become increasingly visible. Missile tests, drone developments, air defense deployments, military exercises, all pointing toward a growing arms race. But the most important question remains unanswered. If tensions continue rising, what would the next escalation actually look like? Would it remain limited to missile exchanges? Or could it evolve into something far larger? A conflict capable of pulling multiple countries into a regional war. To understand that possibility, we need to look at how this rivalry developed. Because the story of Iran and Israel's confrontation did not begin with missiles in the sky. It began years earlier with growing tensions, strategic competition, and a dangerous balance of power that may now be beginning to break. The confrontation between Iran and Israel has roots stretching back several decades. After the Iranian Revolution in 1979, relations between the two countries changed dramatically. Iran's new leadership adopted a hostile stance toward Israel, viewing it as an adversary aligned with Western powers. Israel, in turn, began viewing Iran's growing regional influence as a strategic threat. Over time, this rivalry evolved into what many analysts describe as a shadow war. Instead of direct battles, the two countries competed through indirect actions. Cyber operations targeted infrastructure. Covert intelligence missions attempted to disrupt weapons programs. And regional proxy groups became involved in conflicts across the Middle East. At the same time, military technology was advancing rapidly. Missile systems became more powerful. Drone technology spread across the region. Air defense systems became increasingly sophisticated. Iran invested heavily in developing ballistic missiles capable of traveling hundreds of kilometers. Israel focused on building layered missile defense networks capable of intercepting incoming threats. This created a strategic balance. Iran developed offensive capabilities. Israel strengthened its defensive systems. But as these capabilities expanded, the risk of escalation increased, because missile technology changes the speed of warfare. A missile launched from hundreds of kilometers away can reach its target in minutes. Drone swarms can cross borders silently. And retaliatory strikes can follow almost immediately. This creates what military strategists call an escalation ladder. Small incidents begin the process: covert operations, limited strikes, proxy conflicts. But as tensions rise, the conflict can move to higher levels: direct missile exchanges, airstrikes, cyber warfare, and eventually, full military confrontation. Across the Middle East, many countries are now preparing for exactly that possibility. Air defense systems remain on constant alert. Fighter jets maintain rapid response capability. Naval forces patrol nearby waters, all waiting for the next signal that escalation has begun. Because in regions where tensions remain high, conflict rarely arrives with warning. Sometimes it begins in a single moment. A missile launch detected by radar, a drone crossing a border, a strike that forces retaliation, and suddenly an entire region finds itself on the brink. When analysts study the balance of power between Iran and Israel, one factor immediately stands out: missiles. Iran possesses one of the largest missile arsenals in the Middle East. These include short-range, medium-range, and long-range ballistic missiles capable of reaching targets across the region. Some missiles can travel hundreds of kilometers. Others can reach far beyond that range. In addition to ballistic missiles, Iran has invested heavily in drone technology. Drones are cheaper than aircraft and easier to deploy in large numbers. Some drones are used for surveillance. Others are designed to carry explosives and strike targets directly. In recent years, drone warfare has become a central element of regional conflicts. Israel, however, has focused on a different strategy: defense. Israel operates one of the most advanced air defense networks in the world. This network includes several layers of protection. Iron Dome intercepts short-range rockets. David's Sling targets medium-range missiles. Arrow systems intercept ballistic missiles at high altitude. Together, these systems form a defensive shield, but defense alone is not enough. Israel also maintains a powerful air force equipped with advanced fighter jets capable of striking targets across the region. These aircraft allow rapid response to emerging threats. This combination of offensive and defensive capabilities creates a complex balance. Iran's strength lies in missile and drone numbers. Israel's strength lies in advanced defense systems and air power. This balance has prevented direct war for many years. But as technology improves and tensions rise, that balance becomes increasingly fragile. Because even the most advanced defense systems have limits, and when large numbers of missiles or drones are launched at once, the challenge of interception becomes far more difficult. Modern warfare between technologically advanced countries rarely begins with ground invasions. It begins in the air, missiles, drones, aircraft, and cyber operations. Military planners know that the first phase of any major conflict would likely involve attempts to disable enemy defenses. Missile strikes might target air defense systems. Cyber attacks might attempt to disrupt radar networks. Drone swarms could be used to overwhelm defensive systems. The goal is to create openings. Once defenses are weakened, aircraft can operate more freely. Air superiority becomes critical. Fighter jets can intercept enemy aircraft, destroy missile launchers, and conduct precision strikes against military targets. At the same time, air defense systems continue operating in the background, tracking threats, launching interceptors, protecting cities and infrastructure. This interaction between offensive weapons and defensive systems forms the core of modern air warfare. Each side attempts to overcome the other's defenses, and each improvement in technology shifts the balance slightly. The result is a constant arms race between attack and defense. A conflict between Iran and Israel would not remain limited to those two countries. The Middle East sits at the center of global energy markets. Oil shipments pass through key waterways in the region. Disruptions to these routes could impact economies worldwide. Financial markets react quickly to rising tensions. Energy prices can fluctuate dramatically. Shipping routes may become more dangerous. Insurance costs increase, and governments begin preparing contingency plans. But the economic impact is only one part of the equation. Military alliances also play a role. Several countries maintain security partnerships with Israel. Others have strategic relationships with Iran. This means that regional escalation could potentially involve additional actors. Naval forces, air bases, and defense systems across the region could all become involved. This interconnected network makes the Middle East one of the most strategically sensitive regions on Earth. Despite decades of rivalry, one fact remains clear. Neither Iran nor Israel benefits from full-scale war. The costs would be enormous: military, economic, human. That is why deterrence has played such a central role in maintaining stability. Each side possesses capabilities strong enough to discourage the other from launching a major attack. But deterrence only works as long as the balance holds. If that balance breaks, escalation could happen quickly. Missile strikes, retaliation, air operations, and suddenly a regional confrontation could emerge. This is why military analysts watch the region so closely, because conflicts in the modern world can unfold faster than ever before. Missiles travel at incredible speeds. Drones can operate for hours before striking. And cyber operations can disrupt systems instantly. The next escalation between Iran and Israel may not look like traditional war. It may begin with radar alerts, a drone detected crossing a border, or a missile launched in the night. And when that moment arrives, the systems protecting the region will once again face their greatest test. The question is not whether tensions will continue. The question is how the next escalation will unfold, and whether the region will step back from the edge or move one step closer to a conflict the entire world hopes to avoid.